every Sunday. Side by side at the microphone, from the green light to the speed trap, Chris Switzer and Ray Carino calls them as they sees them, and you better believe them. Here! Relevant news, biased opinions, and outright bullshit regarding every aspect of automotive culture. Gasp at mechanical trickery never before revealed over FCC-regulated airwaves. Thrill to the explosive tension as Chris and Ray cuss each other down the track and barrel roll across the finish line, laughing at certain disaster as they shake hands with the devil. All that and much more this Sunday at high noon on the MotorMouth Radio Hour. Call in and speak live with the Wizards of Speed and live feed, Chris Switzer and Ray Carino. Bring the whole family. Kids under 12 get in free. Every Sunday at noon on WHPC. Take the Long Island Expressway to the Meadowbrook Parkway and look for the sign saying no parking on the expressway and no express service on the parkway. Go right on Highway 24 to Garden City. $2 all-day parking includes pit pass. Sunday!
Ha-ha! Put on your seatbelts, everybody. Put on your food belts. Oh, no, it's not that time of year again. No, it can't be. It can't be. Tell me, pinch me. Tell me it's not here.
It's the most fattening time of the year.
Yes. And I'll tell you what, if you put on a few pounds, not ounces, you put on a few pounds, you must be fat on automotive information because you've tuned in to Long Island's only automotive talk show, MotorMouth Radio, with your hosts, Ray Guarino, and today, a return visit by MatcoMan Brian. Brian, how are you?
Hey guys, what's going on?
All right, here we go. It's the most fattening end of the show of the year. And Brian, thanks for coming in to relieve Chris. He's on a southern sojourn as it is. He'll be back next week.
I appreciate it. Let's get this thing started up. Let's get these phone calls going. We're going to beat our record from last week. We can, let's get those phone calls in, you know?
The gauntlet has been thrown by the Matco Man himself, so you can call us at 516-572-7440. There's a text line, which I believe is 516-905-9472, but that won't be going on this week because Brian's here. So you text that. Actually, if you text that, that's going to be interesting because I won't see the text. So Brian, I got to say something. I went through some numbers crunching last night, and I see that, we have a lot of recurring guests on the show. You've called the show many times this year, but this is your fourth appearance as a major player. You've actually co-hosted, that I can tell, at least 3 other times. There's one time where, 2 other times. One other time I'm not 100% sure of what it was. So you've set a new record, basically.
That's awesome. I'm ready. Sign me up. Put me on the payroll.
Yeah. We'll give you 110% of everything we got, which is you're getting it right now. But it is it's great to have somebody, of course, like yourself, who can step in and help out, and we appreciate it greatly. So
I got big shoes to fill, and luckily you guys let me stumble around, and I enjoy it. I love talking, but unfortunately, it's one of my downfalls. I can't shut up.
Well, how do you think we got the job? The past station manager had said to Chris when he was applying for the position for the show spot, he says, "Well, let me just ask you one question, Chris." He says, "How are you guys going to talk about cars for an hour?" And Chris was like, "Huh? What? You mean just an hour?" And he says, "No, a full hour. How are you going to fill an hour with talking just about cars?" And he said, "It'll be easy. Don't worry."
Yeah, there's always something. And like I said, you have a problem, you talk to your buddies, you beat things back and forth, you try things, or you want, hey, did you try this? Or, did you put this on? Or there's always so much stuff. And luckily you got this here to help people get stuff done.
I'm glad you said that because it kind of segues right. See, you're a good co-host. You're reading my mind already. I'm going to get a new shirt made called No Code Ray. And I'll tell you why. Now, a couple of weeks ago, I was having trouble with my wife's cruise. The radio would blank out, and I did some research. They said, yeah, it's probably a body control module issue. So I did a scan. I scanned it with a top line scan tool and found no codes in the body control module, and even specifically under the radio section of the body control module, and current or historic. And I said, well, all right. So now, why am I seeing my radio blank out? Like, what's going on? Is it a loose connection? Well, since I scanned it, it's almost like I tickled it with the scanner and it said, oh no, and hasn't happened since.
Wow.
So we just check that off, put it in the column, and say, okay, let's watch and wait. So yesterday I went to the shop to look at Mike's truck. He's got a 2002 Avalanche, and he was having some ABS issues. This is the truck I did all the suspension work on this year, but he was having trouble where when you with the brakes applied and you turn the wheel, he would get a shutter, like an ABS shutter. So all the forums, everybody said, it's wheel sensor issue. They're wheel sensors. So he changed both of them. Problem's still there. Those trucks also have problems with ABS pumps that I know of.
Yeah.
So I went there yesterday with the scanner, and I went into the brake, the brake tab, and looked for ABS, my ABS issues, and nothing, no codes, current or historic, and the light is not on the dash. Like, you don't have an ABS light on the dash. I'm like, well, what the heck? How are you supposed to diagnose a car if it won't give you the feedback? So I scratched my head and said, Mike, I don't know. Unless something's disconnected so that light won't come on. We know there's an issue. You feel it, when you drive the car. Like I knew the radio was blanking out. I see it. Yet the computer isn't telling me, I'm not getting that feed. So what do you think about that? What say you on that issue?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of people rely a lot on the scanner because the scanner said so. That's the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And we really know it's inputs to the scanner or to the control unit that the scanner reads. Mm-hmm. So obviously it hasn't affected one of the inputs to turn that light on.
Yeah, which is interesting because
so it could be something like, instead of computer wise, it could be something, I hate to say the word mechanical, but it's not affected by something computer.
Here's something mechanical. You see this thing up here?
That's it. We got it. Bring them on.
So we got to lit it, and we got to say, all right, caller, you've called the MotorMouths. What's up?
Hey, Happy New Year. It's Tom from Massapequa.
It's the MotorMouthRadio Man of the Year. Tom, what's happening there, buddy? How's everything?
Oh, great. I'm sorry to say that I fit your criteria for today's show. I literally gained 3 pounds in 23 hours yesterday. I don't know if it's legally possible, but the scale said it.
That means you're doing it right, Tom. You're doing it right.
Oh, my God. It started with a Passover luncheon, a Hanukkah luncheon that had been delayed 3 times.
Wow.
And it went into a New Year's Eve pre-party at an Italian family's. And let me tell you, I had the best of both worlds yesterday for like 13 hours.
Well, I actually saw one of the pictures you put up, I guess, on Instagram, where you had 3 tables set up for people. So that was a fest and a feast, I'm sure.
Oh, my God. And I actually survived that, Ray, with not gaining too much. I really didn't gain weight. I did, and I lost it, and then yesterday I screwed it up. But anyway, I'm on a mission. That's number 1.
All right.
Number 2, shout out to Joe D.
Mm-hmm.
Number 3, I hope Chris enjoyed his Hyundai with all the buttons and the features on his trip down to past the Mason-Dixon line.
Right.
And number 4, a little complaint about electric vehicles. My friend bought a Hyundai, my cousin, and he has charging anxiety. It's like erectile dysfunction. Have you heard of this?
Yeah, we heard about it. I've seen some commercials. And you know what? I know if I had an electric vehicle, I'd have the same exact anxieties.
It's unbelievable, and he didn't do enough research. And one of the biggest things is, if no one thought of it, when you get in the car with an electric vehicle, if it says you got 300 miles, but then you put the heat on, it changes to 220 or some bullshit.
Right. Exactly, Tom. You're right.
Excuse
exactly.
me. Kim's going to – I might have cursed. Kim may text me on that. I'm sorry. The other thing is my brother works for a transportation company, or someone else does. They have 10 electric vehicles, tractors for tractor trailers. that can't operate. They're brand new because they only have 300-mile range, and where they need to operate, they don't have enough charging stations.
Yeah.
So the electric tractors are literally parked. I thought I'd share that with you.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's going to be. We're going to see more of that in the years to come, Tom. I'm sure it's going to be. It's only going to get worse. So, what did you call the EV car? The malady that
Dysfunction.
Charging dysfunction, right?
I don't know. He has a code for it. Literally, his wife. We were talking about it. We were at his house last night. It's a major, major point of contention. The husband is so upset. He made the decision. And he has to drive to Brooklyn every morning, and it's just like he calls his wife and says, "I can't put the heat on because of I may not be able to get home."
I think he has to either just get used to the vehicle, and I mean, let's say, we're not living out in the sticks, so he can. There are charge things available. What's up, Brian?
Hey, just carry an extension cord. It's all right. You can always plug into your buddy's house real quick for a few minutes.
Right. And I also
bring up a good point.
Well, I'll tell you this, Tom.
Him if that worked.
We had a guy, one of my friends was on the show earlier this year, my friend Lenny. He was working with a company who was doing what do you call it? Wireless charging. They were actually doing it in Europe. It's wireless charging, and they'll bring it here so that trucks and whatnot could be in a special lane, like an HOV lane, and they would charge as they drive in that lane. And of course, I'm sure you get charged for charging wirelessly as well. So
yeah. To answer the question, you can charge the car off of an extension cord. I was in a Ford dealership and I was joking around, and the shop foreman goes, "Well, you can charge it up, but if you don't have the right 220, you can do it the other way. It just takes you like 96 hours."
Right.
So, you you go to work 1 week and then the next week you're off because you're charging your vehicle.
There you go. Maybe that's where all the guys are in the shops that you're looking for, Brian. They're out charging their cars.
That's incredible.
Tom, thanks for that info.
Yeah, I'll give you one point. One of the issues, I want everybody to be aware of this. He said if he goes to a certain charging station, I forget where it was, and it may be at different places as well, it takes 25 minutes to charge, and there could be people online. You may have to wait an hour and a half before you could plug in.
Right. Well, of course, that's the big concern if you're down that low. Yeah. So, yeah, you know what? That's why I'm not a big. One of the things that makes me not a big fan. I like a hybrid more, something that'll regenerate like regenerative braking, something like that, where we'll actually replenish that battery. But well, listen, Tom, we'll stay tuned next week. We'll find out from Chris about his car issues. We'll see how he liked his controls, and keep us in touch on that battery issue with the
all right.
EV.
Happy New Year, guys. I really appreciate what you do, and thanks, MatcoMan Brian. You're a good element to this show.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Have a great New Year.
I think that's his way of saying that in the box of bolts of life, you're a little cross-threaded like the rest of us, Brian. I think that's what he was saying, but in a nice way.
And unfortunately, I think if he gained 3, I must have gained a half a pound, because all I got to do is look at the picture and I'm in trouble. So this is a bad time for me.
Like you, my wife and daughter made a table full of cookies. I swear I'm the only one eating them. How do you go by and not grab a couple? It's like, they got to go to waste. We have to eat them. So.
The girls here did the same thing, and I was like really good because I put them on the other side of the table, and I would tiptoe through the kitchen and not look. And I noticed nobody was grabbing, so finally, I just took them all and ate them. So
there you go.
I solved that problem.
Yeah. So let's solve the problem. Let's get back to this scanner issue, because now we have 2 vehicles that I detailed that had real issues that were seen or felt, yet there was no scan data to support it.
Did you try another scanner?
Okay, because I'm kind of landlocked here. I don't have a lot of stuff. With the scanners that I own wouldn't scan or don't have the body control module capability. So I had to use Solus, the Snap-on Solus that's at the shop. when I scanned Mike's car, I brought the King Bolin that I have, and I also have a newer, I don't want to tell. It's a newer Innova, and they have the brake stuff. So I wanted to do a computer bleed, but it's not supported on that vehicle. I know we spoke about that on Playing in Traffic on a Thursday night. So both of those scanners showed me, got in and said, no, there's no light and there's no codes. So
yeah, sometimes, unfortunately, one scanner will read something and another scanner won't, or vice versa. Well, or if you are not up to date or current, and unfortunately nothing, that's one issue with the Snap-on one, is because that information is in the scanner. So when you on those things, when you update, you lose something.
Okay. So
that's why a lot of your newer scanners, which are on the like a cell phone, they have the iCloud. You have your own cloud. The information you have, you never lose. So that's sometimes, especially when you get into older vehicles and things kind of get misplaced, or you have to go really digging to find. I know that when you're using a Snap-on scanner, you have to tell it you want to scan everything. Because if you just do a plug-in and scan, it's a quick scan. This is where we get beat up because they say, oh, your Matco stuff takes too long. But we go through everything at that time. Right. Where other scanners, we're just not picking on one person, but other scanners pick maybe 5 of the 12. So you have the fastness or the quickness of the most common stuff.
Sure.
So, I mean, there's a lot of stuff. You also might want to check your pin connector, because there might be a problem where you actually plug into the port and it's not reading.
Right.
Like I said, there's, as well as I do, Ray, there is so many things that could prevent or lead you down the wrong path before you realize it.
Actually, that's one of the questions Mike asked. I started off with the one scanner, and then it came back. I was using another one, and then I took my I have a Blue Driver module that plugs into the ALDL, and you read that through your phone. Your phone becomes now the scanner,
right?
And he says, "What are you doing?" I said, "Listen, one scanner doesn't always give you information. I'm using everything I have here to see if I can get some information." And you're right; they don't all work the same, and that's where the problem can lie.
Back in the day, they used to call this a body man scanner. They don't do this because, and this is what it was, because this was an OBD2 ABS. Because those on a body shop guy, those were the most common 2 things that they had to deal with a wrecked car. Right. Because you had a code with the ABS. Or a wheels, from that. And then your OBD2 is because when the car got all crunched up and they had things unplugged and they're turning the car on and it has all these codes. Unfortunately, the manufacturers did not like this because people were buying just bits and pieces of scanners instead of buying one big scanner.
Yeah.
And, something like this might help, or this might, if you find something like this, because it only has 2 things in this, and this is easier for it to read.
Yeah, yeah.
So, and you always want to look at your pin connectors.
Right.
Because your pin connectors, if you're missing something, it's not going to read something.
Mm-hmm.
If you have all 16 pins, it will read everything in the truck or vehicle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's why if you look at your cheaper scanners, and you'll see where it only has five pins, you're not accessing everything. Right. That's how they limit their control.
Sure. So that's where we're at. And then the other thing was I went and did another brake bleed. Like I said, I want to do the computer bleed, but it wasn't supported. So I did a normal bleed. And I had done this already on this truck, but we did it again, and the pedal got better, but it's not, now. And Mike is indicative. He's of any other customer, and even of myself. He said, "You know what?" He says, I'm not really 100% happy with it because he had an issue where he was driving and he had to really lay on the brakes to avoid hitting somebody. And he had to really lay in it and then actually crank the wheel and go around because he felt the brakes didn't stop him well enough. So he said, there's a Tahoe right on the other side of the shop. He says, go over there and feel that, start that car and feel those brakes. And I did. And I said, yeah, I like this a lot better. I agree. I like this brake feel better, but this is a newer Tahoe. You have an older Avalanche. It's, I know that they're both GMs, but they're not the same. But I know for comparison's sake, I agreed that Tahoe brake felt much better and firmer. Mm-hmm. So he says, well, what do you think could cause that? And I said, the first thing you always think of is a master cylinder because that's where it all starts. It all begins there. Now, the truck has new calipers on the front and the rears we didn't change. They were fine, but I did put new ones on the front and the master is original. So I said, well, now you have, over 160 some odd thousand miles on this master cylinder. I said, it's an easy enough thing to do and it's a cheap enough part. We can throw a master on the thing and see if we get a difference. And he says, how can we test it? I said, that's a good question. That's something I never really have gotten the right answer to. How to test it. I mean, I have brake pressure gauges that you screw in to the calipers and you can see what the pressure at the caliper is. I said, but I don't know. I said, so he said, you know what? The master is cheap enough. Let's do that. Let's put one in. So we're going to throw the little parts counted at it. And we're going to throw, because the master for that truck at this point in time is probably going to cost less than $50.
Right.
So I'll do a bench bleed, put it in, and we'll see what happens. And for my own edification, this way I'll know, hey, when you do start getting a softer pedal on an older vehicle that you don't like, could it very well be that the master is just getting worn?
Is that what it is? A softer pedal, or is it a funny? I mean, when you say funny pedal, that's kind of an open discussion.
Well, I know. It's always hard to describe this stuff. The pedal does travel a little further down than I would I like a high firm brake pedal. Mm-hmm. That's it. So anything past that, I have to get used to. So this does travel maybe a little further south, and it's. And he says it feels a little softer where it's not really a bite on the brakes. So I said, okay, that's,
Sometimes I start getting into, and I see this occasionally, but you start having worn bushings. You have a bent, I've actually had, like a bent brake pedal, where, somebody got in there and really cranked down. Like I said, you get some age on a vehicle and you just don't know how many times she's been ridden around the block.
Yeah. It's kind of funny because then what happened was we left that in the shop. We'll get to it. We'll get a master this week. He left, and then one of the other guys from the shop was there. He just picked up a pickup truck that had been a town truck, and he sent it to a shop and they did like everything. They did a booster and a master, and they did the front calipers. They did all the brake lines. Not so great, but they did them. And they didn't do anything in the rear of the truck. And he has a terrible brake pedal, like almost to the floor.
It's funny, and this is kind of on a side note. I haven't talked much about it. My Audi, my Quattro, and it was funny because I have a funny clutch pedal in that. And so making a long story short, before I was getting ready to put a clutch in it, I, pressure washed, cleaned everything down, sprayed, cleaned the motor underneath the car, sprayed it, and had to get up underneath the dash. And I wondered why the carpet was wet.
Right. Oh boy.
And I'm thinking, well, this is new. Okay. And I looked around and got my little flashlight out and started looking, and the firewall's cracked.
Wow.
So I have about a 3.5-inch crack. And when you push the clutch pedal, it flexes a little bit. And that's the gap, or that's the feeling of not having a good pedal.
There you go. Well, Billy G just sent me a message. He asked if that truck had a booster because he had the same problem with his 99 Blazer. That was his issue. And it was funny because we were standing there. Mike was in the truck and I was outside under the hood. And I said, the boost, and it's funny because I just found an article in some paperwork that I had about the physics behind a brake booster and what it does and how much it could be like 100%. It amplifies brake feel. It all depends on the size of the booster and whatnot. So I said, they really do a big job. And I know in my car, my Pontiac, I chose to put a disc drum setup in the car with no booster, manual. Mm-hmm. And it's a nice firm pedal, just like I like. But there's a couple times where I've had to make not a panic stop, but a fast stop in traffic. And I really had to lay on it. Like I had no boost assist at all. So it's all up to you. And I'm thinking I might just put the booster back in my car to get a little bit more of that
security.
That bite. So with that, Mike said, so, well, what would it feel like without the booster? I unplugged the valve from the booster, put my thumb over it. I said, feel it now. And he pushed the pedal. He goes, wow, nice and firm. He goes, yeah, this is good. It doesn't go down as far. I'm like, right, there's no boost assist. I said, if you want, we could plug this off with a cork or something, take this thing around the block and see what you think, just for comparison purposes. So he chose not to do that. But so the question becomes, we're used to boosters failing when you just get a hard brake pedal, but can a booster overboost? So to me, and these are all the things that float in the cloud, and you sit there and you scratch your head and you say, gee, I don't know, now do you want to shoot a parts cannon at this thing and change a part or not? And
in the world that we live in today, Ray, anything is possible.
I believe it. Well, and now like with Nick's truck, there we are. He had all this brake work done. All these parts were changed, and he's got a crappy brake pedal. Bad. I mean, like almost to the floor, almost not stopping. So I said, well, let's take a look. I had my brake bleeding bag with me. I have a bag, nothing but my brake bleeding equipment. And I actually need a little bit of a bigger bag now. And with the help of a brand new Matco light that's very bright, I was able to get, I said, I got the torch here. So I got the light. So I just started going through his truck, and we bled the front brakes, and I'm looking at everything. Hoses were done. Okay. We went to the rear, and I said, you got rear drums. It got better with a good front bleed, but he had rear drums. I said, did you do anything back there? Well, no, not really. I said, okay, let's get this thing up. I said, your shoes may be so far adjusted so far in, the adjusters may not be working. I said, that really sets the pedal height on a drum brake car is the drum brake adjustment. Yep. So of course we could spin him. There was like no contact. So I did a bleed first, and then I said, okay, let me go for the self adjusters. And it was great working with him because he's a younger guy and knows just disc brakes. So I showed him the star wheel through the backing plate. He goes, how do we get in there? I'm like, well, you pull this boot off. And I said, I guess you don't have any brake spoons, huh? He's like, what? I got a teaspoon. So I explained to him what it was. I said, you know what? Give me a couple of your old screwdrivers. I said, this is a good old, this is the workaround. I said, this is when you use a tool for another purpose, not the intended purpose. And I was able to get one of the star wheels to turn. The other one wouldn't. I said, okay, pull that wheel. We're pulling the drum. We're going in. And then another guy walked over and said, wow, is that what's inside of there? Like he had no idea. Another young guy, right? So I said, yeah. So I went through and showed him how a drum brake works. And we pulled the shoes apart. We left everything intact, just pulled the shoes apart, and I got the adjuster out. And I said, see this? It's frozen. So this cannot adjust. The other one was moving. This one won't. We took it apart, wire wheeled it, gave it some anti-seize, and showed him how to adjust it. End of the day, he got a much better brake pedal than he came in with. He's a lot happier, and I'll check with him during the week. We'll see, how that transpires.
That's plays a big part. You'd be surprised. It goes right down to the parking brake adjustment or on the rear shoes. I've had a lot of cars in my time where you had somebody spent a lot of money, and like I said, they just didn't finish the job by adjusting their rear brakes.
Well, he showed me this truck was in another shop, and they didn't do a complete job. They really didn't. And I said to him, his brake light isn't working. The switch is out. I rolled under the dash and said, Nick, I think the brake pedal's been changed. He goes, how do you know? I said, look how nice and black this thing is. This looks like a new brake pedal. He goes, well, is that a company for the slop? You grab the brake pedal, you can move it sideways like da, 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 da. I said, there's no bushing. There's no bushing in this. I said, somebody changed this pedal, and there's a nylon bushing that comes with it that the rod goes through to pivot it on. I said, I guarantee you sometimes there's 2 bushings. You put one from each side.
Right.
I said, you're missing at least one or both. I said, this pedal has to come out and you have to. I said, he goes, well, who would have put this in? I guess the other shop. I said, you didn't do it. Yeah.
I think we talked about this one time on Thursday night, playing in traffic, and we got into the push rod height and along with adjustment, but the place where it bends or pushes on the rod, and it changes everything.
Exactly.
And like I said, we talked about the book, the Bosch book, that has all the answers of the world to solve your car problems in, but some people try to rewrite it, and they really shouldn't.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what can't be rewritten, and that's the bottom of the hour rule. That's where we're at.
That's it.
So we have to, let me say that here's a great show that I encourage people to listen to. It was last night. But next week, Saturdays at midnight, if you're up, and all the cool cats will be up because they'll be listening to the Shades of New Jazz, which is hosted by Greg Bigelow. He's a great guy, and he plays the latest and greatest in the world of jazz, featuring new and recent releases in the format. He's a cat that knows his stuff. Greg's a great guy. And I will tell you that your WHPC weather forecast is powered by Pantano's Gourmet with locations in Hewlett and Uniondale. Today we got sun again. Thank God the rain stopped. It's a mix of clouds, but mostly sunny right now. High of 43, and I like it like that. Tonight's going to be mostly sunny with mostly cloudy skies tonight, not sunny. I'm sorry. Low about 35. It's going to be cloudy and a little cooler during the week, and it'll be exactly the same way you are because we seem to have the same weather patterns from between.
Yep, we're cloudy at 45.
Yeah. So this would be the point where Chris would do his thing and grace us with an honor group of the hour. I don't know. Is there anything? Did you leave any notes on your desk that maybe can help us out?
Well, the only thing I can say, Ray, with the honor group of the hour is don't beat yourself up on the start of a new year. We're at that point, and we all think of all this stuff. And like today, when I made my coffee and looked out the kitchen window, and you see a project that's been sitting there forever. You go down in the garage, there's another project. You go in the backyard, there's a project, and you got all kinds of stuff. Just how about if we start with one and get something done this year, and continue to listen to us on MotorMouth Radio.
I like that. And to add to that, I would say, which I say to a lot of people, I've even said it to you, the projects are always going to be there. They only get done if we work on them. And the only way to work on them is to just get started. And they don't have to be done in a week or two. They don't happen like on TV. We all know that. Sometimes it's years. My own car took me years to put back together. Not a lot, just a couple, but the time, it went fast. It went fast because you're just always doing something. So even if it's cleaning nuts and bolts, cleaning hardware. Oh, good. I got a Mustang question to ask you in the second half. So we'll talk about Mustangs a little bit. So that's a great honor group, Brian. That worked out well. So with that, let's play a little bit more Bob Rivers. We'll go out with him again, and we'll be back with more MotorMouth Radio with, of course, host Ray Guarino, and today, MatcoMan Brian, because Chris is out. So keep it where you got it on 90.3 WHPC.
With answers to your car questions. Give us a call at 516-572-7440. Oh, I should have said the MotorMouth thing.
This show on 90.3 WHPC is brought to you by CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision, with 2 locations in Limerick and Oceanside, who remind you that New York state law says you always have the right to choose which shop will fix your car. CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision offers a full range of services, 24-hour towing between Montauk and Manhattan, shuttle service, and they can help you with a rental car arrangement if needed. All repairs include the CarStar lifetime nationwide warranty, ensuring that the experts at Celebrity Chase Collision are always on your side.
Y sí, hablamos español.
More information is available at 516-593-0920 or online at celebritychasecollision.com.
Okay, Mark Warman here from Graveyard Cars, hanging out with my buddies at, what's the name of it again?
MotorMouthRadio.
Hey, Mark Warman here from Graveyard Cars, hanging out with my friends at MotorMouthRadio. Sunday morning, I don't know what this fat bald guy's laughing about. You'll forget stuff soon enough too, my friend. Be sure to listen. When are you guys on? 10 a.m.?
Sundays at noon.
Noon on Sundays.
Excellent. This was
no, that's you got the promo. The best one was the first one. That's why I was because you said, what was the name of this again? That's the promo.
What better presentation could you do than that?
Hey, you, get over here. Every Sunday, 12 to 1, you are going to tune in to hear the Motor Mouths, my friends Ray Guarino and Chris Switzer. 90.3 FM, WHPC. You might learn something.
Still got gifts to buy.
a little Hendrix-inspired Christmas music today, Brian. That was a little different. I figured a little headbanging today.
That's it.
I kind of like that stuff. Good old Bob Rivers. It's great. I love playing his stuff during the holiday season. It's phenomenal. So,
yeah, we used to have him down here at I think it was 98 Rock in Baltimore.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So that was way back. That's the way back machine there.
Yeah,
that was 35 plus years ago or whatever.
Wow. And yeah, time flies, but it really does fly. So I have a question to ask you. I was talking to Mike yesterday. We're going to be getting a car in that we're going to do some. We're going to be doing some filming and doing some work on this car. It's a '66 Mustang, and what the fella did is he had some suspension work done, and I think what he did, I think he had the coilover conversion done, because apparently now he has a front wheel fitment issue. He needs to get a wheel that has the right backspace so that it'll fit in the wheel well. So when you do that conversion on a Mustang, and I know you were thinking about doing that on your own car, what do you know about that? In terms of the wheels, what do you think have to happen?
Well, that's one of the problems with doing that. You have to end up going to like a 16 or 17 inch rim, and there's a lot of guys that still want to keep a 15 on it, but they just don't have a lot of tire size difference with that, and that's one of the problems. And they do make a tool that you can, and it's not too expensive, but you can mount it up and it'll give you an idea of what you can put in that wheel well.
Okay, I was going to kind of do it the old fashioned way, by have the wheel off the car and then go to the hub and maybe put a straight edge on the hub, and then you just measure back and measure forward so you can see like where that center is, where it lines up in the wheel house. Right.
That's very similar to that tool that you put on there, and it's got it's a multiple slide protractor type thing, and you can actually get a visual on a lot of guys. Some guys will actually take a piece of plywood and cut it out to see what it looks like. To get the size of the wheel. But I know that's why a lot of your torque thrust, Magnum 500s, the style steel wheels, like from year one or whatever, they've made a bigger size because of that. Now, I think me and you are kind of similar in our taste. On those older cars, it looks better with a sidewall than having no sidewall.
Right.
And that's where a lot of guys have problems.
Yeah, that's one of the things that actually bothers me about my car. I bought wheels from a guy, so I had no choice in what was there, but they're 17-inch, which didn't necessarily bother me. And I have a 245/40 17 on the front of a car that I could only put in like an F70 14 on back in the day, because the wheel would hit the back of the fender. Now I got this steamroller tire on the front, and believe me, for handling, in accompaniment with what I did on the suspension, on ramps and off ramps, so like I accelerate through them, and it's almost like the car makes right-hand turns. But I don't like looking at that smaller sidewall. I did drop the car, so it's not, I don't have like Steve. My nephew used to call it dead cat storage. So I don't have a lot of that. So it's just me. I was thinking about going to maybe like a 16-inch wheel with a tire that has a little bit taller sidewall. But now the question is, well, okay, when are I going to go buy two 16-inch rims and tires to test it? It's like, no, because what if it doesn't work?
Well, hopefully you have a good a car group of guys, and you can try, or at least get an idea. That's one of the biggest issues.
Yeah.
In that, but I know that's one of the. That's why, like on the rears of those cars, especially first generation, when you do a mini tub kit, you actually cut away and move the frame rail in, because you just cannot get a lot of tire size on that car unless it's sticking out.
Yeah, a good guy to see on that is Kiwi Customs and Classics on YouTube. He's one of Uncle Tony DeFeo's friends he was just did that white Mustang again, where he pulled the whole, took the quarter panel off, took the inner trunk out, and he found a lot of older damage too that had to be repaired. But he showed that really well, how that falls in line. But
yeah, that's one thing. And like I said, there's not especially it depends on if he just did a coilover, or if he actually changed to a rack and pinion, like a Mustang 2 or a Pinto front end. But you're limited so much on the tire size. That's one of the That's why, unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, that's why mine's going to be a little bit wider, because I'm going to stretch out. I'm going to feed it a few extra Oreo cookies, and I want to get that hourglass shaped look, so I can get some tire underneath of it.
Nice, good. That I like that a lot. So I'll be in touch with you about that, because as that progresses, I'll be needing some help. So I'll lean on you for that. Something else I wanted to throw out. We were talking about on Thursday night. Lewis was talking about Christmas gifts, and by the way, Isaac just weighed in and said you inspired him with the honor group of the hour. Now he wants to get out and do some work on the cars in his yard. And I said, hey, Isaac, that's all it takes sometimes, just a little push, and it just gets the ball rolling.
Coach Isaac should have no problem, because being out where he is, he doesn't have bad weather. Come on, man. He's got sunshine all the time. So he should be warm and fuzzy.
All you got to worry about is it being too hot. Yeah, too hot. So when Lewis was asking about what guys got for Christmas tool-wise, and, we kind of covered that. But I got something that's kind of different. Tell me if this has affected you in your house. About a year ago, my wife and daughter, for some reason, they felt that I needed to be in the body wash club. Like, instead of the soap, the bar soap, I had to have body wash. I'm like, what the hell is body? What is this stuff? I wash your car with it. But I started using it, and I said, hey, this is pretty cool. And I found the Old Spice brand. I love they have some really good scents. I like it. So I switched over. Well,
that's why you're here, Ray. If your grandfather didn't wear Old Spice, that's why half the generation's here. Come on now, that's old school.
Got that right. Well, let me tell you this. I'll be starting a new bottle of body wash tomorrow that's called Coffee and Whiskey Body Wash.
Wow.
They got me some spray too, like some like an aftershave spray, and I don't know if it smells like coffee or whiskey, but you can definitely see that they got the scents in there. They're both in there. I was like, wow, this may get me pulled over. Or if I get pulled over, have me get me locked up.
That's there so that in case you just need an extra little swig when you're washing down, you got that morning boost.
So being in a house of women like I am, I was curious, have you been influenced in any of your habits or things that you do because of the women?
No.
Okay, good.
No, but unfortunately, I do have the all-in-one body wash. I have gotten lazy and the Old Spice, and we got the blinking light. Let's go. I'm ready.
Let's go to the phones and go to the fun and say hi, caller. You were on with the Motor Mouths. Call back. They dropped the line, so we'll see if we can get it back in. 516-572-7440. And yeah. So
no, I'm an Old Spice guy too, and like I said, I thought it was kind of crazy when it was 4-in-1. It did everything from hair to toes, and got you all done up.
I don't know about you, but whenever I get cologne or another product, I'll just spray it on, and my daughter goes nuts. She goes, "I can't do that. You can't do that." I'm like, "Yes, I can." I can also go to the phones and say, "Hi, you're on with the Motor Mouths."
Happy New Year, gentlemen.
Hey, Bob, how are you? Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Hi, Brian. How are you?
Hey, Bob. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I wish you and your family a very happy New Year.
You do the same. Thank you.
Bob, you missed your chance to get in before the end of the year, but the invite is still open for the beginning of the year.
I thank you for the invite. I was a little under the weather for a weekend or two.
Okay. All right. Fair enough.
And of course I got better, and I went to a school event.
Uh-huh.
And the couple behind me were sick as dogs.
Yeah. A couple of my friends went through that too, where they had like recurring things and that didn't really make sense. So, well, listen, that's why I say, no worries. It's more important that you feel well and you're in good shape, but the invite is open. Whenever you want to come in, you let me know. We'll get you a spot.
That's lovely. I wouldn't want to go into the studio under the weather.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. Like I said, it's up to you. We always leave it up to the guests. So that's whatever's good for you.
On a good note, you were right on my starter issue on the Suburban.
Okay. What did I say that
I had the dead spot for a while, and I was thinking it was the factory alarm.
Right.
And so put a GM starter in. I went to one of the box stores and picked up a starter that I thought was going to be okay.
Okay.
And not okay.
Okay. Yeah.
Not okay. Well, I usually go for a GM or AC Delta or good quality part, but
right.
So take out the old starter, put in the better starter, and sure enough, you called it correctly. You had it right.
Okay, good. Hey, sometimes you get lucky. It's a hit or miss. Sometimes it's just spidey sense of what goes on. But having rebuilt starters for many years, I know that a lot of little things can go bad, like just one bar in an armature can drop out, or I've seen solder go away, and or so. It's so good as long as you got that fixed. That's good, Bob. That's what we're here for. So.
Yeah, thank you. Additionally, thank you for another great year of weekend radio. You, Rob, and the rest of the crew, and Crazy Chris from Connecticut, and you guys have really offered a lot of information to your listeners.
You're very welcome, Bob. That's what we're here for.
Thanks again, and I wish you guys a very happy, healthy 24.
Thank you. Same to you, Bob. We'll talk
Take
to you
care,
soon.
Bob.
All right.
Bye-bye.
So look. All right, we have another line lit. So let's go back to the phones and the fun and say hi, caller. You're on with the Motor Mouths.
Bonne.
It's Liz. How are you, Liz?
I am doing good, and I would like to thank you again for this beautiful year. It's always a pleasure to hear your good information about cars, and I was happy to hear about the electric car. I am against them because some of my friends got stuck in the mountain. They could not charge the car, and they were going skiing, and the kids were in the car. Can you imagine that? But anyway, it's a pleasure to talk to you, and I wish you the very best for 2024. Okay?
Thank you, Liz. Same to you. Brian, you finally got to be on the line with Liz. Thanks.
Yeah, that's awesome.
We'll speak with you again. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. All right. Yes, that was Liz, long-time caller. So yeah, we're getting a little bit of negative pushback on the EVs, which is, there's that's going to continue on. That's going to continue. So we'll see where that goes. But so
we only say nice things for 2024 now.
I know. Everybody talks about now resolutions for the new year, things to do different, and I was talking to someone yesterday. I said, I don't really go there. I said my resolution is just to keep going through the week, keep doing something. This week I sat around for a couple of days and I hated it. It was rainy. There was nothing to do, and I absolutely hated it. But keep going, keep moving, and that's it. That's my.
Just don't look back. Just keep going forward.
Well, yeah, I don't know. Some looking back is good because it reminds you where you've been. But yeah, I think in for the most part, a positive forward attitude exactly is what you have to have, and you got to do something. So yeah. Anything? Any advanced news? Well, you guys have Expo coming up for Matco in February, right?
February, we got our tool show, and looking forward. Hopefully, things are getting better. We still have a few issues. Everybody does, it's
sure
the way of the world, but hopefully we have a good turnout and some new product and some new stuff.
Yeah. How can people follow what's on the leading edge for Matco? Is there a way they can
just basically the matco.com, the website, and we have an app. We have a really good app. It's come a long way. I know that we talked about it a few times, but
we even tested it Thursday night. So people just go on into the Play Store and look for Matco Tools, I guess it'll show up as.
And there's a lot of stuff going on there. And you can always follow me on Instagram or Facebook, and it's pretty simple. Just hey MatcoMan, and that's the best way to do.
Excellent. And I'll say this: we're going to say, hey caller, you're on with the MotorMouths.
What's up, guys?
Hey Vic, how are you?
All right, man.
Cool.
I had a real amateur mistake last week.
What happened now?
You should have left her alone.
Last Saturday, I took a ride out to Greenport to look at the trailer, and Brian Mears pick up a pie, and Riverhead to get some hard cider and stuff like that. And on the way back, I'm on the Parkway, right at the Bayshore Road where it's 5 lanes wide.
Yeah.
Left rear explodes.
Ooh.
Right? At about 75, 80, I controlled the car, got it over to the right-hand side, got in the grass, and realized that a couple of weeks ago I had bought a refrigerator, so I had to take the tote out of the car that had the jack in it.
Oh, no. Okay, so now it's road service. Who's on your speed dial? And it wasn't me.
Nope. I put it in the grass, and I drove it home at 10 miles an hour.
Really?
That was about
From Bayshore Road?
Change. No, on the Parkway.
Oh, my God. What kind of rim did you have on that car?
It's steel. It actually made it.
Wow.
But what happened, it took the brake line out.
Okay. All right.
All right. So Sunday morning, Christmas Eve, I have to get a tire and a brake line.
Right.
Mavis was open. It wasn't a bad deal. It was $100 for a brand new tire. But the parts store that I deal with, of course, it's not open on Sunday anymore.
Right, of course.
And the secret number, nobody was there.
No, I know.
So I called up the idiots on Sunrise Highway in Belmore.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a non-listing part. That's a non-stockable. There is no such part.
Wow.
I said, were you selling shoes last week?
Yeah, right.
So actually across the street from where I usually get parts.
Yeah.
Had one, she gave me the discount. It cost me $38. So for $138, I'm back on the road. I lucked out on that. But the best part of that was when I bought the car, I never checked. There was no spare.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there you go.
So I had to buy a rim.
Yeah.
Steel rim is $75 from a junkyard now.
I was looking for 4 steel rims for my FJ, and I couldn't find anything used, and knew they were like $120 a piece. I said, no way. I said, I give a guy $100 for 4 of them, Brian. Because I was asking you for rims years ago, and I said, there's no way. These are the things people throw out. So
we used to take 10-yard containers of steel rims and take them to the scrapyard as number one steel.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing, Vic. You had better luck across the street. I know exactly where you are than I did, because I went in there a couple of years ago to try and get a water pump gasket for a Pontiac, and they didn't have it in stock. I said,
yeah.
What? So I said, okay, I'll deal with the other boys on Monday. And
yeah, exactly. But the thing, I used to work at Monster Auto Salvage, J&C in Albin. It's all owned by a friend of mine, Bobby. He's very good.
Okay.
I called him up. He goes, yeah, with a tire on it, we got $80. I said, all right, I'll call you tomorrow. Right? I called him tomorrow. He goes, yeah, we sold all 4 of them.
Thanks for saving me one.
So I said, who's got one? The place out in Bayshore had one. I called up. I said, yeah, my friend Billy used to work there. Yeah, Billy retired. Yeah, kids are here, this and that. I said, I need a rim. 75. I said, you're killing me.
Right. $75.
75, and then the tire was 60. I said, Jesus Christ.
Yeah. Well, that still puts you at the 135. That puts you right about where you ended up.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
that's how that goes.
But I know, but Vic, it's like with us, with anybody who's done this long enough, it's more about the principle than the actual cost.
Yeah.
I got you.
In my backyard, I got plenty of Chevy and Ford and Chrysler rims.
Sure.
But not a minivan rim.
Right. Well, so now you're going to throw a spare in there so you'll be good for next time?
Of course.
Strap it to the roof, put it up.
You know that.
Put it up on a roof rack. Strap it, you'll be like an off-road Aussie or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Then I'll put some lumber there and a ladder and maybe some other stuff too.
Vic's Services.
All right. I know you guys are running out of time.
Thanks, Vic.
Talk to you guys later. Have a good one, everybody.
Happy New Year, Vic. Thanks.
Take care, Vic.
Boy, Brian, see, that's the kind of stuff you can't make up.
That's luck. That's my kind of luck.
Yeah, and I know when my older daughter bought her RAV4, that's why we made sure she wanted one up to a 2012, because from 13 and up they went to run flat tires.
Yeah.
There was no spare, and she wanted a spare. So
the funny thing is, you talk about that. I was in a shop Friday, and I noticed that they had the little donut. They were replacing a donut, and that goes back. One day I had a flat in my car and pulled off the side of the road and jacked it all up, threw the donut on, drove down the road, and that blew out.
Oh, geez.
And I was like, man, these things don't last. And I realized it was 30 years old. So
well, the other thing that didn't last too long was this hour. It's done.
It's over.
So whoever's calling, sorry. Brian, thank you very much for filling in. It was a 4-peat this year. We'll definitely do it again in 2024. And I will see you on Thursday night in Plain Traffic. And what do we say to the people waiting for me outside?
Make sure you have a sandwich if you're going to follow them home.
Yeah, because I'm hungry. All right, for MatcoMan Brian, Ray Guarino, Chris Switz will be back next week. We'll see you then on MotorMouth Radio, 90.3 WHPC. See ya.
Awesome. Take care, guys.
Got it. This show on 90.3 WHPC is brought to you by CarStar Celebrity Chase Collision, with 2 locations in Limerick and Oceanside, who remind you that New York state law says you always have the